Good morning. You should all have your solving multi-step equations notes. You should all have a bucket of community supplies to share. So the first thing I want you to do is cut out the title of solving multi-step equations. When you have that cut out, you are gluing it into the next open page of your notes, which should be 29. Gluing it at the top of the page. The next one I want you to cut out, it says glue at the top, but then at the bottom of it, it says number 5, then blank each side by the coefficient. So that's what you're cutting out next. Okay, when you have that cut out, you are not gluing it yet, so just set it down to the side. The next one you're cutting out is the one that has a 4 on the bottom. Collect all blank on the opposite side of the variable. So number 4, we're cutting backwards. Okay, when you have 4 cut out, on 5, so you've got 4 and 5, on 5 where it says glue, you're going to put a little strip of glue there. You are then taking 4 and placing it right on top of that. So now 4 and 5 should be glued together so they can lift up on the flap. Now you are cutting out 3. Collect all blank on one side of the equation. So same thing with 3, and now 4, 5, you're gluing at the top of 4 and placing 3 on top of 4. So I glued on top of 4, there's 3 on top of 4. Notice we still have not actually glued this down into the notebook yet. Now you're cutting out number 2. Combine any blank terms that are on the same side of the equation. Okay, so you should have 3, 4, 5 glued, and then 2. So now you're gluing at the top of 3 and placing 2 on top of that. Okay, now you're cutting out 1. Apply the blank property. Again, gluing 1 on top of 2. So right now when I look at this, I should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now there's a little problem at the top here that says 3 parentheses 2x minus 1 minus 3 equals 4x minus 5 minus x. That is what you are cutting out next. So not one of the problems that have a 1, 2, 3, 4 on it, just the problem. And you are gluing that on the top of 1. Okay, once you have that all put together, you are gluing the whole back of it and you're gluing it to your next open page of your notebook right on the side. So you should be able to lift up each flap. Okay, now you're going to cut out the 4 problems. Be very careful so you do not lose them when you cut them out, because we're not going to glue them all at once. So I have my 4 problems cut out. I'm putting everything else to the side right now. Make sure you don't lose those. Do not put your garbage scraps in the buckets. That's not where they belong. Just put them on the side. Your 4 problems can just go on the side because we don't need them right this second. We will need them shortly. Okay, so under step 1, we are going to write apply the distributive property. So the distributive property, you want to think about distributing mail. When a mailman delivers mail, he goes to every house and delivers. So with the distributive property, whatever number is on the outside of the parentheses has to go to every term in the middle. So it has to go to this 2x and it has to go to this minus 1. So I'm going to times them. 3 times 2x gives me 6x. Keep your minus sign. 3 times 1 is 3. Everything else is staying the same. So again, all I did was take this 3 and take it times each number in the parentheses. Combine any like terms that are on the same side of the equation. So, the same sides of my equations, I've got 2 sides. If I was to draw this line down the equal sign, I have 2 sides. So let's just look on this side. So 6x minus 3 minus 3. Do we have 2 terms that either both have an x or both do not have an x? We have a minus 3 and a minus 3. So if I look at that, negative 3 minus 3. So it's negative 3 degrees out, but it's dropping another 3. So that will give me negative 6. So just flip up your flap, and underneath it we're writing 6x minus 6 equals, now we gotta look at the other side. So we have 4x minus 5 minus x. So what are our like terms on that side? Good, 4x and x. Remember, this x is just a 1x. So I'm taking 4x and I'm taking an x away from it. So that gives me 3x and my minus 5 does not change. Now this should look similar to what we were doing on Monday and Tuesday. Step 3, we're going to collect all variables on one side of the equation. So our equation was 6x minus 6 equals 3x minus 5. So what do we want to move to what side? Good, I want to move this 3x over to a 6x. So if it's a positive 3x, because I have to look in front of the sign, if it's a positive 3x, how do I get this 3x to the other side? Well, I subtract it. So I'm going to rewrite the equation. So I have 6x minus 6 equals 3x minus 5. So we said we want to subtract 3x from each side. So 6x minus 3x gives me 3x. My minus 6 did not change. Equals, make sure this negative comes down with your 5, equals negative 5. Step 4 is going to collect all constants. So your constant is anything without an x, or without the variable. So I'm going to rewrite my equation. So I have 3x minus 6 equals negative 5. So I already have my variable on this side. So I don't want to move that. I want to move anything that's attached to it by addition or subtraction, which is that minus 6. So how am I going to get rid of a minus 6? I'm going to add 6 on each side. So I have 3x equals negative 5 plus 6 is going to give me a positive 1. And step 5, divide each side by the coefficient. Sometimes you may have to multiply depending on how it is set up. So we had 3x equals 1. The coefficient is that number in front of the x. I'm going to divide by 3. So x is equal to 1/3. Okay. Now, with your problems, I want you to take number 1 and you're going to glue it on the next open line right below where we were just working. Now you're going to leave some space and you're going to glue number 2. And then over on the side, back up by the top, we're going to glue number 3. And then about halfway down the page, we're going to glue number 4. Problem numbers 1 and 2 that I just had you glue in the notebook do not have anything to do with our distributive property, so we don't want to work on those right now. I will work on those with you on Thursday when I come back. So we want to look at question number 3. So we have the parentheses, so we've got our distributive property. So remember we had to take this 2 times x and 2 times 1. So when I take 2 times x, that gives me 2x, plus, you keep whatever sign's in the middle, 2 times 1 gives me 2. Nothing else changes. Okay. Now it's my variables on both sides of the equations that we were working on Monday and Tuesday. Draw your line. Now I need to figure out what I want to move first. So I want to move this 2x because it's smaller, so I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides. So I'm left with 2 is equal to 3 minus 2 gives me 1x, or just x, minus 1. I remember this first step. If you chose to do something different, as long as you end up with the same answer, it's okay, and as long as you did the opposite. So you couldn't add 2 on each side first. You got to do the opposite. So now, my variable's on this side. So I need to add 1 on each side. So 2 plus 1 gives me 3 is equal to 1x, or 3 is equal to x. Remember, 1x and x is the same thing. Alright, let's try number 4. I just want to get it set up so you can practice the distributive property. We're not going to actually solve it. Okay? So, 2 times x, 2 times 1. So I should get 2x plus 2. We're keeping that 2x because that didn't change. Again, 2 times x, 2 times 2. 2 times x is going to give me 2x plus 2 times 2 is going to give me 4. Okay, we're not going to actually solve that one right now. Just wanted to get it set up. So go to page 3 in your notes. Today is 12/14, and we did distributive property equations. And when you abbreviate equations, it's EQNF. And we were on page 29. When you have that done, take out your spiral notebook. I want to go through some more examples with you and give you a chance to practice some. So in your spiral notebook, first one I want you to copy down. 4 parentheses 2 plus 3c equals 56. So that distributive property tells me I need to take 4 times 2 and 4 times 3c. So I take 4 times 2, that becomes 8, plus 4 times 3c is going to give me 12c, and I'm not changing my 56. The most common mistake I see with these is everyone forgets to take the 4 and times it by that second term in the parentheses. If you take it to one term, you have to take it to the other one because that parentheses is grouping it together. You have to solve it with both. So now I can draw my line and solve. So I need to subtract 8 on both sides because I don't have variables on each side. So this is just a two-step equation that you took a quiz on Friday. So I'm left with 12c is equal to 56 minus 8 is going to give me 48. Divide by 12, so c is equal to 4. Okay, let's try another one. 63 is equal to negative 3 parentheses 1 minus 2n. Close your parentheses. So again, your distributive property, negative 3 times 1, negative 3 times negative 2n. So 63 is equal to negative 3 times 1 is going to give me negative 3. Remember, this sign goes with this number, so it's really a negative 3 times a negative 2. So it's going to give me a positive 6n. Now I can solve. Again, I don't have variables on both sides, So I can add 3 to each side. So 63 plus 3 gives me 66 equals 2, 6n. That did not change. One-step equation, divide by 6. 66 divided by 6 gives me 11. So 11 is equal to n. Okay, on your homework, in just a minute, you are going to get this worksheet. This is read, teach, solve multi-step equations. So if you look at this, there's an example 1 and example 2. Work out the problems for you. There are 6 problems at the bottom. You are completing all 6 in your spiral notebook. You may write on this, but do not be showing your work on this. There is no way that this amount of work can fit in that little space, no matter how tiny you write. So your work must be shown in your spiral notebook. You may write your answer here though, so when we check it, you can easily find your answer. Okay, so for number 1, you could put b equals 29. I'm not saying the answer is 29, but if that's what you were to get, that's what you could put. Okay, so no work shown on here. All work must be shown in your spiral notebook, but you may write your answers here. Okay, before you start working, make sure your community supplies buckets are put away. Make sure there's no scraps in them. Make sure all scraps ended up either in the garbage or the recycling bin. Please check the floor around you and make sure there's nothing on the floor that the next class will have to pick up. If you have questions, I will be back at school Thursday morning at 7 a.m. You can come in and get help. Or you can come in during homeroom on Thursday and get help. You will have a quiz on Friday, so do not wait too long to come get help. If you have questions on a specific problem, email me and I will get back to you and help you.